What's up, y'all? This is Rom coming back at you with yet another car video. The main issues with that 1 to 10 rating scale. The main issues with that scale, and it's just primarily two. And, they kind of intertwine in a way. One, the scale's not objective. Two, it's not universal. Now, some people want to think it's universal. Some people want to think it's objective. People always argue with me when I try to say there's no such thing as objective attractiveness. But look up the word objective. It means it's free of bias. Free of bias. You can't argue with it. Mathematics is objective. 1 + 1 is always 2. If you apply that to a human being, it's objective if someone is 5'10". If it's that height. Objective because you can measure it. It's objective whatever they weigh. That's just a number. But whether it's attractive or universally attractive, that's a matter of preference. That's a matter of culture and everything. Hence, when you bring in the word universal. And I'm gonna tell you what, and I've used the 1 to 10 scale. I've used it. It's primarily because people can understand it. And I've even asked people, might show them a picture, say, hey, what do you think? Because you get a general understanding, but even then, it's a bias. Because understand something, if it involves a human being making a decision, it's always a bias. Even in so-called scientists and everything. Like when a lot of people do official studies, there's a whole lot of confirmation bias. Or people see what they want to see. So now even in so-called studies, you got to take them with a grain of salt. I'm saying this as somebody who's done plenty of studies, because there's always going to be a degree of bias, even in situations where you think, oh, they're going to be totally objective. I'll give you an example, because I mentioned several times I worked in the legal field. Now, my first internship, when after my junior year in college, I was doing diagnostic probation. Those are the ones who recommend sentencing to judges. Now, I remember the officer I was working under. I never forget what he told me. And he's actually told plenty of people who are about to be sentenced. He said, yeah, you could, say you got convicted of stealing a car. Right? You got convicted of stealing a car. You going in for sentencing. That judge that morning took a while to get to work because his car was stolen. He might be in trouble when he's sentencing. Because judges always have some type of bias any damn way. That's why they have appeals courts and everything. So humans cannot be truly objective. They can try, but they can't, because they're always going to have a feeling, even if that feeling is unconscious, even if they consciously think they're being objective. They can't be. Even writing books. Now, I've written some nonfiction books, and, just being in school, written plenty of term papers and stuff, essays. And one thing as a writer, any nonfiction writer is always going to write something from their point of view, no matter how objective they try to be, And even in interpretation of history, you're always going to interpret it from your point of view, You're always going to interpret it from your point of view. No matter what, because that's all you can do. Wait a minute, I gotta deal with this thing fogging up. But it's like, as a human being, you're not gonna be that. Now, so let's take that out of the way. It's always gonna be subjective no matter what. It's always gonna be some bias or whatever. But let's take that a little bit further. When people talk about a universal thing, you're talking about a 1 to 10 thing, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I think about just several instances, just in life. Like, I remember one time working on this job, and me and this one dude thought this young lady that worked on was the bomb. We thought, man, we like, yeah, she fine. This other guy saw, he's like, And how many times have we seen somebody go crazy over a woman, show their picture, be like, yeah, she all this. I mean, they going into a trance over. And everybody, and some other people be like, like I knew this dude. And his choice in women, and let's just say we didn't have a similar choice. Because one, he had this one woman, supposedly his girlfriend found out she cheated on him. And from my point of view, I was like, how she get not just one man, but two men? I was like, I'm gonna be real. I was like, if she could come up to me, the woman could have come up to me and say, Rom, I'll do anything you want in the bedroom. And I would have been like, no, I'll pay you. There ain't that much paper in the world to pay for the amount of money. It was like, no, I just didn't find it attractive. And I remember another time the same guy was going crazy over this young lady who, if using that number system, a lot of guys would call her too. And that's only because she was generally nice. I knew the woman, knew the young lady, but he was going crazy. But that was his thing. See, everybody's going to be biased on it. And even culturally. Now, at best, there's going to be some type of like cultural standard or region, but there's always still stuff that goes into it. Even in a consensus, it's going to come, so many factors come into it. So many factors. I mean, there's been many studies taken with a grain of salt still, but where people just tend to find people of their own race or ethnic group more attractive. And even with interracial relationships, that's just how it is. I'll give you a great example. Like I said, that time when you had somebody had a clip and a white woman, they were like, she had the perfect ass. It was a white woman. And brothers were like, hell no. And in fact, I'm just going to say this from my point of view. As a black man, a lot of women that society might say is so beautiful don't look like shit to me. Some of them look like men. Seriously, my dick would not get hard. They too slim, because if you're looking at somebody's attractiveness, isn't that just, even in their face, they was just like, I don't see what people going crazy over. Because if you look at attractiveness, it's going to be, well, on the deepest level, it's going to be within your own DNA, which is why people have a strong tendency to find somebody who looks similar to them attractive. Now, notice I said tendency. Understand, none of this is objective, so somebody's still going to have something different. But let's use at best you got maybe a group thing, like the attractiveness thing again. And I mentioned this briefly in my book, Meeting Attractive Women. I said, white men might find a woman with a pretty face in general and big breastises, but no real ass on them, to be very attractive. And brothers be like, well, no, we found a woman with, she got a decent face and a big round ass, very attractive, hence BBLs. And shit, you can see that on things like IG. There's a big difference in the body types. Like, you got some magazines, and I noticed they'll that's more catering to white guys. They'll like limit the asses. Like, I'll use an example. This one magazine had Kim Kardashian in it. Now, Kim Kardashian is known for that like plastic surgery ass. She get brothers like crazy, like, for a reason. But in this particular magazine, they ain't hardly show the ass. So I was like, okay. But they looking at her differently. In fact, there was a magazine I had a decade or so ago. They don't print it anymore. I think the name was Smooth or something. But it was a special magazine. It had all these women, all these like sisters with 40-inch hips, big fat ass. Those urban model types. Brothers were going crazy over it. And yeah, they might get some white guys and men of other races that go crazy over it. But it was, they might go crazy over it. But very big butt. You know, on general. Notice I said on general. Because understand something. People, even when we have a prevalence of interracial relationships, people will tend to find their own race or ethnic group more attractive. This is globally. People find their own attractive. That's just normal, their own group. Now, yeah, you get some interracial relationships, but even then, like, you got a lot of brothers, if they go for a white woman, the ones they tend to go crazy over, got butt dunks on. Pogs, fat ass white girl. Those are the ones who get the most attention. And I see that now. Whenever I see a white girl, she got that sister booty on her. She always got some brothers coming for her. Meanwhile, some white guys calling her fat or something. Even if her stomach's relatively like flat. See, that there you go. There's different groups. That's just a prominent example. But even in interracial relationships, you know, people tend to go for someone who's similar to whatever their group is. Now, I've dealt with 3 Asian women, like serious relationships with 3 Asian women. 2 Japanese, one Korean. One of the Japanese women, and all of them were what brothers would see as sister thick. Except for one in a way, and I'll explain that. But they had nice asses on them, nice legs, a little bit more curvier than women of their group. Boom. Both, like 2 of them, got plenty of attention. Now the third one, she didn't really have that booty, but she had thick thighs. Thick thighs save lives. You know, because if you're looking at, if you're talking about 1 to 10, that's not just one part of the body, that's the whole body. So one had thick thighs, the other ones had thick thighs and nice ass. Wait a minute, let me go this other way. That's very key. That's very key to understand. See, you can't really say just, oh, you got to be this, you got to be that. Because if you look at people talk from their perspective. But if you really look at it, you got to say, okay, what group am I trying to appeal to? Or what group I find most attractive? That's a better way of looking at it. Which group I find most attractive. Like if he, you know, because I tell you now, they got 40-inch hips. Got that butt dunk, thick thighs. Shit, lose my mind. In fact, y'all remember, I'm gonna share a video I did a long time ago. I haven't followed up on it. I need to follow up on it. Lovers of fat asses. I'm gonna share that in the description box. This is one of my earliest like live videos. But I noticed that. I was like, okay. Seriously, when you out and about, different men are going to like different things. It's going to be based on ultimately, at the very least, their racial group, their ethnic group. You know, racial group, ethnic group, personal DNA. You know, it's going to. So you can't say, well, this is objective. And it's like, no, it's not. I'll use that, you know, or universal. Like I said, like these white women. I'm gonna just say it. I ain't being racist. I'm just being honest. Like these white women don't look like shit to me. I'm just being real. That people holding up as superstars, I'm like, please. They'd be lucky if I be like say hi to them. Now if they got a nice ass on, a nice body, sister body on, okay, then I'm looking a little bit harder. And that's everybody else. Like if somebody white to me say, well, I ain't feeling all those sisters, I'll be like, okay. I ain't mad at them. Now, people will still talk about the interracial stuff, but even then, if you look when people date interracially, they tend to go for, they still looking at the body, and the body tend to be whatever they like, you know? Like I say, those pogs, or even some of those, a lot of those sisters who might go for a white guy, you know? Might have a certain body build and everything. And even then, it's so much to it, but that's still general. That is still very, very general. But it's not universal. It's not objective. It's come down to so many factors, your preferences and stuff. Your preferences. So one person's 1 might be another person's 10, and so forth. And I was thinking about it, because even when I talk about it, I tend to say general, but even then, everybody's going to have something general. Everybody's going to have something they find different. They're going to have something they like. You know, there's no committee out there saying this is it. Even when you talk about beauty contests and stuff, they're along cultural lines. They're along cultural lines. You know, it's not some universal, oh, you gotta have this shape or this shape or this shape. You know? So even then, okay, we're talking about the women. That's kind of obvious with the women, but even what women want in men. That's why I say, hey, you gotta get your best body and find your tribe. And that's a big thing with the tribe, too. And I'm gonna hit y'all with something deep. Even within racial groups, you got several tribes. Like within the African American community, there's actually different tribes because it's made up from so many factors make it up. You know? So many factors make up the African American community. You know, not only individuals from descended from prisoners of war from Africa. Yeah, I always say prisoners of war. I don't use that other word. Prisoners of war from Africa. But also, they were different tribes. And then, you had that mixture of different European tribes and, First Nation groups. And somebody had said there's maybe 8 to 13 distinct tribes in the African American community. You know, see, that's a little bit harder since people tend to lump everybody together. But depending on someone's DNA, that's why they're gonna find certain people attractive. In fact, there's been that's a part of tribe. You know, you might have more of a DNA connection or ethnic connection than you even realize. You know? So that's how deep it is. And it's deeper than what you even consciously thinking. But it depends on you. Depends on your group. And then that's not even adding in like the social factors like social class, religion, and everything. Or really even programming. This is more about natural attraction. That's why it's not an accident. Like if you see two people together, this some old like folk wisdom, but if you see a couple together and they look alike, you're like, they either brother and sister or they lovers. Seriously, it just seriously. And in fact, even in interracial cases, because I mentioned I have a friend out in California, saw a picture of her and a man. I said, y'all look just alike except for the race. Y'all look just alike. Like nose shape, everything. I was like, damn. But part of that too is DNA because of the racial mixtures. There's a lot of people might have a common ancestor. But that's deeper. But the bottom line is it's still subjective. You can't say this looks good. Because remember what I've said before about this. That change, like a lot of people, they don't realize how much they're going on whatever some some magazine editors say or whatever. Just what the media says, whatever they promoting at that moment. Even in the black community, what complexion of man is seen as ideal, that changes. That changes, And that's another thing too. Different groups got different criteria. Like within white communities, there's not so much of a talk about, they a certain complexion and stuff, but within black communities or Africa overall, that's a big issue. that complexion issue, skin complexion issue. So it's like, wait a minute, different groups got different criteria and shit, you know. But getting back to the men, let's turn this back to the men. Let's talk to how women checking them out. See, one thing, women use adjectives anyway. They'll use the 1 to 10 scale only if a man is asking them and they give a number. But if you talk to them or pay attention to what they're actually saying, oh man, that's the second time I was about to run over a squirrel. But you pay attention to what they're saying, they'll say, oh, he fine, he's sexy fine, he handsome, he cute, he ugly, you know. But then again, that's still not objective. That's their view. In fact, there was a video, and I should have saved that video because I mentioned it before. This dude was showing all these women, like these so-called chads, and having the women rate them. And I say only one woman rated them above a 5. And, you know, guys in the comments thought they were going crazy, but it was like, man, you don't know. That's that woman's preference. That's why that's yet another reason. Objective is what it is. There's no criteria, no difference. There ain't nothing wrong with them. That's just their preference. You know? It's whatever they feel like they want. You know? But one of the things is people want to promote their own viewpoint and think it's the right one. No, it's just yours. Hold up. Oh, shit. That dude ain't even stopping. What the fuck? Oh, man. You get lights behind you, you're supposed to stop. That dude's still going, so there might be some adventure up here. But anyway, ultimately, everything is down to what a preference is and all of that. So, when I talk about tribe, now in general, I say tribe, that's... You know, those are women who find you naturally attractive. Part of it's going to be just DNA. Part of it's going to be racial group. You know? That's why when some dudes say you got to be lean or something, let's just be real. A bunch of skinny white guys. And maybe that'll work for whatever their tribe is, but, you know, brothers can have some meat on them. You know? And yeah, I'm going to bring the racial stuff in, man. We got to stop pretending like it don't matter. You know, it depends on the woman, what she like and stuff, you know. Because I know at my size, I get a lot of attention from women from the Caribbean, but I've seen some of the dudes down there. I get a lot of attention, like Caribbean, especially Trinidad. Oh, Lord. I get a lot of attention. As soon as some women from West Africa and stuff, I get a lot of attention, you know. But that's because, in fact, this one Nigerian woman, she used to call me Ibu, man. And I don't know. But that's what she called me. I don't know if I have, you know, I ain't look at it, but a lot of people do think I'm from either Ghana or Nigeria. And that's cool. But similar to the tribe, you know? Similar to the tribe. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just is. But like I said, and even that's still the preference. But that's the thing, because then getting back to the original whole thing, if you think about the whole one, you can't really say, you can't give a number and act like somebody's just right, because the way people do it, they act like everybody's supposed to recognize it. No, I mean, you can give a number, but still, that's your own thing. That's your own thing. That's their opinion. That's whatever their subjective bias is. And that's cool, you know? But, like I said, that's cool. But somebody's going to disagree. Or somebody saying everybody's thinking somebody's looking good. I was like, no. Depends. Depends. You know, that's why if you seriously go any place in the world, like how I would say this, anybody who believe, oh, it's just one thing or something like that, it was like, well, how many people of other groups have you dealt with? Like, even body gang. Or like, okay, like height. Let me use that for an example. I'm really hard pressed to think about anybody I've met from Central America background. who was taller than 6 feet. I ain't saying that don't exist. They probably do somewhere, of course, but most of the guys be like more what we would consider short stature. But they be having fine ass women. They be having fine ass women. But what are they looking for? And why am I talking about this? See, sometimes a lot of guys gotta get off of that left brain criteria for looking at stuff like everything is set. If everything was just set and it was just some total objective science or something like that, we wouldn't have any problems. In fact, the human race would just look different. It'd be there's so many factors. Everybody would look the same. There wouldn't be any variations. I mean, use some common sense. There would not be any variations. Everybody would look the same, everything. Because only people who would mate, they would have to match that so-called criteria. And it's not. And it's cultural bias if somebody try to say, oh, well, ours is number one. That depends on the neighborhood. Depends on the neighborhood. And it is what it is. This ain't racist or anything, it's just being real. You gotta be real about it as you go through life. And that's why I'm getting off of that. Because I was halfway off of that whole thing anyway. Because people know, people know I've done some stuff on Rom TV about how I categorize women. And everybody, I'll use the word dime. Because everybody, but even then I'll spell it a certain way. Like DYMES, but not a literal 10. Because I don't think any woman's 10, but you understand it's more communication. But the thing is, people gotta understand, it's all ultimately subjective. Now, what can a man do with this information? Understand, find your tribe. All you have to do is find who work for it. Like I said, women from Trinidad. Like this one woman I just started following out of the blue from Trinidad. And she one of those, she got multiple. She followed me back. She got multiple subs. She followed me back right away. And the only way somebody getting that many subs gonna follow me back, she looked and saw what she liked. Seriously. Like islands, Caribbean, women like that, Central America. Certain women like without hesitation. Creole women love my ass because my father Creole. So, that tribe thing ain't no joke. Even on just that biological level. But the bottom line is it's going to be different for everybody. People got to just find their tribe. And, you can still use that number system if you want for personal reasons, your personal thing. But at the end of the day, it's your personal thing. And I got a sit down video where I talk about that next week, your own preferences and shit. And in that video, I'm saying don't allow anybody else to dictate. You gotta like who you like. Like I know, I'm gonna be real with y'all. When I see I'll tell you what. When I see a sister who got that brick house body, a little bit tall, look like we could be almost related, man, my joy be like, And that's another reason, like I've seen that just constantly. Like dudes just going crazy over one woman, but then another group of men thinking, huh? But like I said, it's just different race, different ethnic group. And then you can get class and all that in there. So, and I'm gonna just be real. It is what it is. Just accept that. Accept that. You don't have to fight it, and somebody's gonna try to argue it, but I'm gonna say no. You have a bias towards your own viewpoint. Seriously, it just is what it is. At best, you can get a consensus, but it depends on the group and where it is. Like I said, that magazine I had years ago, I should have kept that joint too. I think I gave it to somebody, but you had all these women in there, and all of them had 40-inch hips. I remember I had a birthday party, some fellas over. I think I gave the magazine to one of them. They were passing that shit around. It's like shit. But those same women, with other groups, they probably be called fat or something. Or even those Asian women I dealt with. You know, they weren't those slim, petite types. All of them they had some thickness on them. So brothers gave them more attention. It's not the university. There's so many factors in there, you know. And yeah, like I said, bringing race into it because we got to stop playing around and be honest about some shit. There's going to be some differences. Like I say, I have no problem seeing a lot of women, white women, held up as super attractive, and I'm like, well, look like a man to me. Couple of them be held up as so beautiful. Like, I'm like, shit. I'll be like, see them, be like, hey, dude, come on. Don't got those curves. Shit. But that's attractive to somebody. Hey, that's cool. Just respect it, you know? So anyway, you know, not for me. You know, everybody, that's one thing. And y'all gonna hear it again next week for that sit-down video. At the end of the day, it's whatever you want. Don't worry about everybody else. You ain't trying to impress anybody else. You know, your beautiful woman is different from somebody else's, and that's cool. That's really how it's supposed to be, you know? You don't worry about impressing like your boys or something. That means they ain't gonna try to come forward, you know? Because trust me, some dudes, they had some women, they had nothing to worry about from me. I was like, oh, hey, y'all beautiful couple. Sometimes they would be. They look just alike and shit. Oh, man. So anyway, though, but no, seriously, everything I talk about, do the research on yourself. Seriously, just research that yourself. You know, I don't just talk. See, one thing you got to understand about me, see, some people see me in this car and they see me with this t-shirt on. They have no idea. I mean, we can sit down and take an IQ test. And shit, you put some money in my hands or you challenge me or something, I can tell you where I went to school. You know, you can go verify for yourself. You had to do research and stuff. So very much more of an intellectual than people realize. Yeah, I be on here cursing, but I'm a complex and intellectual. I'm just complex. So anyway, though, look it up yourself, though. Don't take my word for it. Think about it. Talk to your friends. If you got friends of other races, other ethnic groups, everything, just ask them what they like. You meet somebody from another country, say, hey, what type of women you be going crazy over? Just ask them. You know? Everybody gonna have something different, and you know there's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful, really. So that means everybody can get something. You just gotta find you just gotta find the women filling you. You just gotta find your own tribe. Who's gonna find you naturally attractive? So anyway, that's all I got for today, y'all. I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.